Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's morning docket. Today is Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. The board will be hearing violation cases today. I'm going to quickly go through a PowerPoint presentation regarding this docket. As you can see, the link to get on to the docket is highlighted in blue here, and there's an access code and a password. If you have a laptop, iPad, or smartphone or other device, I'd ask that you use this link so that you can log on and view the hearing. If you do not have access to a iPad or smartphone computer, you can call in the number below and use the access code to gain access, and you can hear the hearing. Materials, evidence, other related items. There's a copy of the docket on the link, which can be found on our website for September 22nd, 2020 docket. There is a 48-hour evidence rule for online hearings. All evidence should be submitted via email to Assistant Executive Secretary Ms. Stacy Russell, and her email address is there. Licensees should make all efforts to provide any documentation they plan on submitting to the board by 11 a.m. on Sunday, September 20th, 2020, which would be 2 days before this particular hearing. Then in addition to posting the docket online, the licensees, witnesses, and other representatives have been served in these cases in accordance with the law. Procedures for the docket, I will read, after reading the instructions, I will call the cases. All the witnesses who are going to be giving testimony will be sworn in by a court reporter. I ask that you please state your name, and if the court reporter asks, spell that name, and speak slowly when you are speaking, and inform the court reporter all of this is being recorded. Once the board hears the cases, they'll hear from both sides, the board and the licensees. After they hear testimony, the board will ask if any member of the public wishes to provide testimony in any of these cases. I would ask that you use the raise your hand function so that we can identify you as a witness in the case and you can provide testimony. Afterwards, the board will go into the sentencing phase. Just general ground rules. Again, when you're pulled in and made a panelist, please speak slowly and in a clear voice so the court reporter understands exactly what is being said and who is saying it. This event is live. Individuals who use profanity or are disrespectful or unruly may be expelled from the virtual hearings. Just some helpful reminders. Try to find, if you have a smartphone or iPhone, you're going to be giving testimony, please find a well-lit area so that board members can see you, and also be in a quiet space so there's not a lot of background noise. And with that, we can proceed to the hearings, and I'll be calling the first case on the docket. Calling Candace Bruno and John Potts Jr., Ira Godfrey Associates, trading as Old Major, 900 South Carey Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, a violation of Rule 3.09B, restroom facilities and health regulations, November 8th, 2019. Bring all parties in now.
Is there counsel, Mr. Akers?
There is. Mr. Kadinsky is counsel.
Okay.
I'm bringing in the health inspectors too, so there's just a number of individuals on this case. All right. There are a number of witnesses. I've made Mr. Health Inspector Rice, Health Inspector Mathers, Detective Greenhill, and Sergeant Leischer are on the call, as well as Mr. Kadinsky, the attorney, and Candace Bruno, the licensee.
Okay, Mr. Kadinsky, you want to identify yourself for the record, please?
Melvin J. Kadinsky, 320 North Charles Street.
Good morning.
Morning.
Is the reporter on to swear the witnesses?
Yes. Would the witnesses be able to turn on their videos? Okay, I see Miss Bruno. I see Mr. Rice. I see Mr. Leischer, Mr. Greenhill. Okay. All right. Okay, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury? And please say your name before answering.
Brian Rice? Yes.
Okay.
Where are the others?
All right. Ms. Bruno,
Candace Bruno, yes.
Mr. Leisher,
Sergeant Elisha, yes.
Detective Greenhill.
Detective Greenhill, yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kudensky, is this going to be an admission or denial?
It's going to be an admission.
Okay. Do you want to explain what happened?
Yeah, in this particular instance, the licensee had, and this is in the basement area, had been collecting various items for hurricane relief. It's not an excuse, it's by way of explanation. They had a lot of bags of useless things that were given to them. And in the process, they were changing exterminators. I have provided to the board, I don't know if it's in your packet or not, showing the things that were in the basement as well as the contracts for the new exterminator who has come in to take over. And they've cleaned up that whole area in the basement. So I don't think there's going to be a problem there, although it did exist on that particular day.
Okay. And who dealt with them directly among our witnesses? Was it Inspector Rice or Detective Greenhill? Who was it?
Detective Greenhill, I'm present.
Did you deal with them on that day, or was it the health inspector?
As far as the violations related to the health code, the health inspector did that.
All right, Mr. Rice, did you have conversations with them?
Yes, I did. Upon the inspection, myself and Inspector Mathers, we did close the facility due to the live rodents that we witnessed with the employee at the moment. When we were down in the basement, there was a lot of clutter. They were collecting clothes for, charity, but it was just very unorganized. They had a walk-in that was not working. So it was a lot of violations that we could not deem to keep them open. The employee was working with us and was very polite and patient. So we did not have any issues regarding, communication with them. But yes, the place was not sanitary to stay open.
Have you been back to open them up since?
Yes. So myself and Inspector Mathers went back to do the follow-up on November 14th. So that was 5 days later. And they had corrected every violation on our report. And the basement was immaculately clean. They had pest control come out, and their walk-in was working properly. And they were extremely compliant.
Okay, thank you. The
You're
commission
welcome.
questions? Commissioners?
I have no questions.
Mr. Guy?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Akers, do we have comment from anyone else?
If there are any members of the public who are on this call, please use the raise your hand function if you wish to give testimony. Mr. Chair, I see no individuals that wish to give testimony in this case.
Thank you. Mr. Kudensky, is there anything further?
I'd just like the board to take into consideration that what started out as an effort to help the people in Hurricane Dorian morphed into an area that caused them this problem. They were closed for a period, I think the 3 or 4 or 5 days is indicated. They did do everything that was requested. They cleaned it up. They got a new pest control. And I think the inspector alluded to that. And I'm asked the board to take that into consideration. And the fact it was in the basement, although it's not an excuse, it's not like in the main area.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging document, as well as the documents that were submitted by the Licensees Council, the proffer from Mr. Kudensky, including the admission of the violation and testimony received, I find the violation of Rule 3.09 small b on November 8, 2019. In light of all the extenuating circumstances, I would impose a $100 fine and give the licensee 30 days to pay. Commissioners.
Thank you.
Mr. Guy?
Commissioner Guy. I concur in consideration of the testimony and evidence presented to the board in this case. I found the licensee in violation of Rule 309B that took place on November the 8th. I found it in violation, and I also agree that the fine should be $100.
Based upon Mr. Kudensky's proffer, 0.09 on November 8th, 2019, in light of the fact that this licensee was closed for a period of time, and based on the record and the efforts taken by the exterminator, and on top of that, that we're in the midst of a global pandemic, I too would concur with the imposition of a $100 fine.
Michael Zippis for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Pest Control Contract.
Thank you.
Mr. Kudensky, please note that we will be sending you correspondence in the mail regarding the board's decision and the next step for payments.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
all.
All right, calling the next case, Natalie De Francesco, Pig and Rooster Smokehouse LLC, trading as Pig and Rooster Smokehouse, 3242 Foster Avenue. There's a class BD7 beer wine liquor license, violation of Rule 3.09B, restroom and health regulations, January 4th, 2020. The licensee is represented by counsel. It's Mr. Fogelman. I'm going to make him a panelist now. Mr. Fogelman.
Yes, good morning. Thank you. On behalf of the licensee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody there?
Yep. Yes. Detective LeBrun, can you please turn on your video?
Okay, can we have the reporter swear the witnesses, please?
Okay. Hold on. I just need to. All right. Would you be able to raise your right hand? Okay. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to help you God, or under penalty of perjury? And please state your name before answering.
I do, David.
Brian
Sorry, I didn't
Rice.
hear that. Okay.
Oh, Brian Rice, I do.
Sergeant Leisure, I do.
Justin Mathers, I do.
Detective LeBrun, I do.
Okay. Mr. Fogelman, is this going to be an admission or denial?
This is an admission, Your Honor.
Okay, why don't you tell us about January 4th?
Sure. Your Honor, it was obviously distressing news to the management about the health violations. As you may know, in order to get a health department permit here in the city of Baltimore, you have to have a pest control contract there and regular pest control applications. As a result of the discovery of the violations, the management and Mr. Tabash, seated here with me on Foster Avenue, replaced the entire kitchen staff and, in fact, fired the pest control company and picked up a new pest control contract. Hasn't been any problems since then. I'd ask that you, given the fact that they were closed by the health department for a week and lost a week's income pre-COVID, that you would seriously reduce the fine or suspend it entirely. Thank you.
Let me ask the health inspectors, were they cooperative with you?
Yes, they were very cooperative with
They went
myself.
back 8. And
Thank you.
yeah, they pretty much fixed everything, cleaned out the whole kitchen. Pretty good.
So you've been back in there and opened them up.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, and when was that?
The 8th.
I'm sorry, when?
January the 8th.
Thank you. Okay, the commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Do we have public comment, Mr. Ackers?
If there are any individuals who wish to give testimony in this case, please use the raise your hand function so I can make you a panelist and you can provide testimony. Mr. Chairman, I see no individuals that wish to give testimony in this case.
All right, thank you. All right, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the submissions from counsel, Mr. Fogelman's proffer and his admission of the violation on January 4, as well as the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 3.09 small b on January 4, 2020. And in light of all the circumstances, again, I impose a $100 fine and give the licensee 30 days to pay.
Commissioner Guy, in consideration of the testimony and evidence presented to the board in this case, I also found that the licensee is in violation of Rule 3.09B that took place on January the 4th, 2020, and I concur with a fine of $100 for this violation.
Thank you.
Based upon the proffers of counsel, I too find a violation of Rule 3.09B on January 4, 2020. And again, based on all the underlying circumstances, I too concur with the imposition of $100.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
No exhibits.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Fogelman?
Yes, sir.
Please note that the board will be sending you physical correspondence regarding the board's decision and the next steps for payment.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I have been informed by Sergeant Leisher, I know he's on the call now. Cadet Stokes is at the academy and they're trying to get him on the phone. I would just ask that we move that case to the last case, and I have Sergeant Leisher who can speak more on that matter if you need more information.
All right, let's call that later. Go ahead.
Okay. Calling the next case. This is going to be case number 4, Patrick Akia and Sherry Palumbo, sole proprietorship, trading as Sherry's Place, 238 South Broadway. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on March 11, 2020.
Do we have counsel in this case?
I do not believe we have counsel, but I do have Mr. Akia, the licensee.
Okay.
He is, I believe, representing himself, and I'm going to turn on his phone just so that. Mr. Akia, can you please turn on your video, please, sir? You got your video on, sir, and your audio seems to be working. Can you? Oh, let me see if your audio. Mr. Akia, is this your phone?
I'm on the road, so I'm talking on my phone, but the video's coming through my tablet.
Okay, you're getting a lot because of your setup. There's a lot of feedback. Okay, you don't have to have any headphones, do you?
No, sir.
All right, well, let's swear the witness, please.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I swear.
Thank you.
Yeah, very much of it.
So,
Mr. Akia, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm the chairman for County. You've got a violation charge on March 11th. Do you admit or deny the violation?
I do not deny it.
Okay, you mean you admit it?
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead, you may explain.
Well, my employee that worked that night, Tiffany, is an EMT. And as you know, this was the start of the COVID, and apparently she had a very stressful work and at the ambulance service, and when she came to work, her mind just wasn't on her work.
All right, and she made a mistake.
Yes.
Okay. And who was there for the board? Is this Detective Greenhill's case? Whose case is?
Yeah,
this is Detective Greenhill's
here.
case.
All right, Detective, were they cooperative with you?
Yes, they were cooperative.
Okay. Do commissioners have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
So I have one question. Mr. Kia, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. So this is your second sales to minor in about a year. I understand, I take your comment with respect to the bartender at the time. Are you enhancing any other efforts to make sure that you're not selling to minors?
Yes, I do have a program, and I've upped the bounty. I hate to say this, but if they card a police cadet, they get $100 and they're pay extra. The fine, the employee has to pay it. I've made it financially. It's worthwhile to card, and if you don't card, you pay the fine. Other than, I'm so angry that this has happened because this is not who we are.
I appreciate that. And as long as you know that what you may pay, it goes on your license, and you're still ultimately responsible. So I'd encourage you to increase your efforts to make sure that these cadets aren't getting their peach Amsterdam vodka.
Okay, thank you.
If there are any members of the public that wish to give...
I was Officer English. I had to hang up because I'm right in the middle of a virtual hearing.
Okay. If there are any individuals that wish to give testimony in this case, please use the raise your hand function and I will impanel you so you provide testimony. Mr. Chairman, there are no members of the public that wish to give testimony in this case.
All right, thank you. Mr. Akey, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, your testimony, including your admission of the violation, I would find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on March 11, 2020. You did have one of these a year ago, and I understand your explanation for this. I'd impose a fine of $150 on this one and give you 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Commissioner Guy, in consideration of the testimony and evidence presented to the board in this case, I find the licensee in violation of Rule 4.01A, sale to a minor, which took place on March 11, 2020. I also concur with the fine of $150 for this offense.
Based upon the testimony and the admission by Mr. Akia, I too would find a violation of Rule 4.01A on March 11th, 2020. And again, based upon all the underlying circumstances, I would concur with the imposition of a $150 fine.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
No exhibit.
Thank you. Mr.
Mr. Akia, this is Tom Akers, Deputy Executive Secretary. We're going to be mailing you correspondence in regards to the board's decision and the fines, the payment of the fines.
Thank you.
Ms. Russell, isn't there a police report involved in this case? I believe Detective Greenhill.
I'm sorry, we're picking up the case you just did?
Is there a police report in this case, Detective Greenhill?
I apologize. Yes, there is. Can we recall the exhibits?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Board Exhibit number 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Greenhill.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move to case number 5. Calling Mehari Mensitab, 542 North Luzerne, Incorporated, trading as Club Luzerne, 542 North Luzerne Avenue. This is class BD7 beer wine liquor license, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on March 12, 2020. This is represented, the licensee is represented by Mr. Previs. I'm going to be bringing on all of the witnesses now. We've got Detective Gatto and Agent Perez that I'm bringing on as well.
Okay, Mr. Previs, can you identify yourself for the record, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can start my video. There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensee Mehari Mensitab, who is to my right and in the video.
Is this going to be admission or denial, Mr. Previs?
I mean, we admit the facts. I would only ask that Cadet Queensberry state his name and date of birth, and then we have an admission of the actual charge.
That's fine. Can we do that? Let's swear the cadet.
Okay.
I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Would you be, Mr. Queensberry, would you be able to turn on your video?
Yes, I gotta go to settings real quick.
Okay.
What are we doing?
Waiting for the video for Mr. Queensberry so he can be sworn.
Would you swear the detective as well? So, because I have to ask him later about cooperation.
All right. I still can't see Mr. Queensberry. Is that okay?
You can hear him. Let's swear him.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury? And please state your name before answering.
Mahatman, stop. I do.
Detective Abraham Gatto, I do.
Sergeant Leisure, I do.
Do we have the cadet?
Cadet should be on. He's on twice. Mr. Queensberry?
There we go. That's the way.
Are you sworn, cadet?
Yes. Can you see me?
No.
Oh, I can see Mr. Queensberry.
All right. Have you been sworn?
Here. I can swear him in again, just
Please.
to make sure. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I swear.
All right.
Thank you.
Cadet, would you please state your name for the record and your date of birth?
Lance Queensbury, 10/27/1999.
Mr. Previs, will this be an admission?
It will be an admission, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Do you want to explain?
I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, on the evening that this occurred, it was a weeknight. This establishment, although it's a BD7, on weeknights closes at midnight. The incident happened at 12:01. Mr. Geber-Tensei Mengestab, the brother of the licensee, was working, and he's very cautious and very paranoid at closing time because of a prior attempted holdups right at closing time. The cadet came in right as he was about to lock the doors. He was only thinking about getting the individual out, and he just totally did not card the individual. He sold them the peach Amsterdam, whatever, and he shouldn't have done that.
All right. So, Detective Gatto, were you on the scene? Were they cooperative?
Yes, I was, sir. They were cooperative.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
Commissioner Guy, I have no questions.
No questions.
Okay. Do we have people who want to testify, Mr. Akers?
If there are any individual members of the public that would like to provide testimony in this case, please use the raise your hand function. I will make you a panelist and you can provide that testimony. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any individuals who wish to give testimony in this case.
All right, thank you. Mr. Previs, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, your proffer, including the admission of the violation on March 12, 2020. I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a on that date. Their last sale to a minor was about 2 years ago. In light of all the circumstances during the pandemic, I would impose a fine of $100 and give them 30 days to pay. What's going on that evening at that late hour? Commissioner?
Commissioner Guy, in consideration of the testimony and evidence presented to the board in this case, I find that the licensee is in violation of Rule 4.01A, sale to a minor, which took place on March the 12th, 2020, and I concur with a fine of $100 for this offense.
Based upon the proffers, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A on March 12, 2020, and based on the underlying circumstances, concur with the imposition of a fine of $100.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, violation report, Agent Perez.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Previs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Previs, we will be mailing you correspondence regarding the board's decision and next steps for payment.
Thank you, sir.
And with that, I believe we have one final case, and that's going to be 1812 West Pratt Street. I'm going to call the case and pull all of the parties in. Rupak Karki and Robert Tompori, Ava Group LLC, trading as Pratt Liquors and Bar, 1812 West Pratt Street, is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, February 5th, 2020.
Are they represented?
Yeah,
they are by Mr. Kadinsky. I just pulled Mr. Kadinsky back in.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kadinsky, you want to identify yourself for the record, please?
For the record, Melvin J. Kadinsky representing the licensee.
Okay, will this be an admission or denial?
Well, is the cadet available? I thought you had some problems with the cadet.
We got him on the last. Oh, did we get Cadet Stokes on board?
I'll defer to Sergeant Leisher.
As of right now, we can't get a hold of him. He was notified, spoke to him this weekend. He said he would be here. He's not answering his phone, and nobody at the academy knows where he is. So we don't know what happened.
Okay.
Is he MIA?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm not at the academy, so I don't know. But he's actually in the academy now. He's no longer actually a cadet. So I don't know if he's taking a test or if he's at the range. I don't know where he is.
Well, that, as they say, the plot thickens.
That it does.
I need them as a witness. Since he's not available, we file a motion to dismiss.
Yeah.
I'd be inclined to grant it unless commissioners have other views.
No other view?
I have no issue with that.
Yep, I concur with you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion granted, the violation will be dismissed. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Ready to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Board Exhibit 2, violation report, Agent Perez.
I think, I'm sorry,
Mr. Kadinsky.
Got a report to the police academy that the cadet did not appear.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Kadinsky, we will be mailing you correspondence as to the board's decision in this matter.
All right, thank you very much.
Does that conclude our docket, Mr. Akers?
That concludes our docket, Mr. Chairman. Board will be in recess until Thursday, September 24th, 2020 at 11 a.m.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.